Hello and welcome to this week's Great British Mickey Waffle Live. There are lots of things to discuss this week, including which locations away from Disney or Universal property are worth your time to make an effort to visit for breakfast. So wherever you're joining us from in the world, grab a drink, grab a snack, because it's a foodie show and you're going to get hungry, and join us in the chat. Welcome to the show.
Now my wheels in motion and my windows open with the wind blowing in my hair. I'm driving down the highway, gonna do this my way. I can feel it in the air. Here I
go. Hi everyone, and it is Wednesday again. How does Hump Day come around so quickly?
I don't know. It comes around more quickly than the end of January, I tell you that.
I wasn't sure what you were going to say, John, so thank you for keeping it.
This is the last live show of January 2025.
It's the 75th live show of January 2025. It feels like...
Yeah.
Day 4,550.
Oh,
yes, yeah. It does feel a bit like that, yeah. In case you don't know, my name's Claire. My name is not on the screen. My name's Claire, and joining me tonight to chat about supposedly the most important meal of the day are Ben. Ben, how are you this happy Wednesday?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm glad it's Wednesday. I could much rather it be Friday. I think we could all be that, and it won't be long before we're in February. And I know we've got a new show out on Saturday, which is the 1st of February, where we talk about car hire.
Yeah,
so,
scintillating. It sounds like, is that exciting? It is quite a good show. I've heard it's all right.
Yeah,
it's a great show, Claire.
It's a show to listen to if you want to save a little bit of money and actually realise
theme there.
Realise whether you want to hire a car for your next trip.
Definitely. And John, you're with us tonight as well. It's the three of us. Are you okay?
I'm all right. Yeah, I'm all right.
Did you just turn the lights on? Did someone put 50p?
No, it was a screen. I changed it.
Okay.
It's that bit where
you lit a candle.
Yeah, if I have it on YouTube, it goes dark, and then if I click back to the other screen,
I just get the glow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm all right. It's Wednesday, and it
is Wednesday. It's all good.
Yeah. Now, this is going to be quite a good show. This, because actually, I think when we start talking about stuff, if you're in the chat already, then do chip in with some of your favourite places. I know we've had a bit of chat going on in the Wafflers Arms chat on Facebook and things like that, which has been really useful, because one or two places that have been mentioned possibly we wouldn't have thought of doing. We'll include them, but if you've got any favourites, chuck them in the chat. Be part of the show.
I think now is a good time to go and grab a snack, because it's one of those things. It's going to be a hungry show.
Yeah, it will be.
There is nothing worse than doing one of these shows when you haven't had time to have dinner.
I know. Same here.
John?
I'm the same.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I had dinner already, so I'm prepared.
All right, you're okay.
You're well
prepared, and I've got a drink as well. So
I've got a drink. I just haven't anything to eat.
Yeah, I've got some of the other stuff.
You've got the important stuff and nothing else. I think it's in the chat today. So Heather was in early doors. Thank you for joining us, Heather, a little before the show. It's really nice to have you here. And it's always great to have some friends in the room. So Sam, thank you for being here, and Colton, we've missed you. It's good to see you.
Good to have you there.
And I was going to say that do join the show and join in and actively comment, because actually we love reading your contributions as the show goes on, and it kind of steers what we talk about, because believe it or not, I say this with a straight face, we don't plan any of this. We don't talk about it like anyone thought we did. It's like,
don't give the secrets of the show away.
Yeah.
No plan. What's that? We plan our Disney trips, Disney holidays, so like military style, because we've all got spreadsheets of what's happening in August, or maybe some of us do.
We haven't. What? No. Oh, yeah. But we have. Like we had a meeting on Monday where we planned what we're going to do for the next few shows, and I'll give you some highlights later on. But I think that's about the limit of what we plan for these things. So we have a topic and we try and then go away and have a bit of a thought about it. But what you say in the chat is really we rely on that, because that kind of steers the direction of the conversation. So we need you to comment and to share with your friends and get them to come join in. And if you're a Ninja watcher, because we know you're out there, tonight should be the night to comment. So join us in the chat if you can.
And even if you're watching on the replay, you leave us a comment, we'll reply.
Yeah, we still see them.
Yep.
Definitely.
That's good.
Now, before we get to breakfasts, there's a couple of things, well, one specific thing that we need to discuss. And there's some interesting Disney news this week. Ben, graphics. John, I hope you've got your paper to shuffle. I forgot to bring mine.
I got. Yeah.
You sweet, I love it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I've got to say, if you were listening to that with headphones on, that was absolutely brilliant.
It sounded like ITV News at 10.
Yeah.
It did. Yeah. Or the what's the News at 10 tune that they've done, like a techno version of it. It's really cool, actually. So we've decided that on a Wednesday we might just highlight some news things that come around. And this week, the lineup for the Epcot 2025 Garden Rocks concert series has been announced. I think it was on Monday. And quite frankly, shock, horror, and Simon, who's not with us tonight, I hope you are sitting down. Starship are not there this year.
Is this like the first time, I don't know, in a decade?
Or
long?
It's like there's a little window that says to be decided on March 30th to 31st. Okay. And I'm kind of hoping it's Starship because there are some amazing musicians, but when I did check, I had to go away and double check that Mickey Thomas is alive and well. He's fine. So it's not that there's something wrong. And I'm personally gutted not to be able to see Starship this year. I was hoping to see them again. They're amazing last year. And I really enjoyed it. But some of the bands that are playing, we've got some great people this year. We've got Rick Springfield, we've got Herman's Hermits. They're not my age group. Not age group, but era. I think I'm not, you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Get your spade. Go on, keep digging.
I don't think you can say era without mentioning Taylor Swift. So,
she's definitely not on the list.
No,
Taylor Dane is on the list.
It says to be determined. You never know.
Yeah. You never know. They're just not announcing it too far ahead. So,
Taylor Dane singing "Tell It to My Heart."
The heart. Tell me I'm the only one. That's
it does worry me when I look through the list and they go, I need to Google a lot of these people to know who they are.
You didn't?
No.
Did you? No, I hope you didn't. Sugar Ray, awesome. John, if I'd been there a week earlier, I would have been able to see Flock of Seagulls.
No, I've got to admit, when I saw that on the list, I was almost just getting a flight and just
just for the day,
just for a couple of days, because actually that would be superb. That would just make it for me. It's really funny because actually I've gone back about 10 years and they seem to get decent gigs in the Orlando area because they played the Hard Rock Hotel when we stayed there, and I think it'd be about probably nearly 10 years ago. Because the kids were young, we weren't allowed in because the kids couldn't there. So we were on the outside of the actual.
Still hear it, I'd have thought.
Yeah. We got to hear everything, and we watched the sound check and everything. And we then had dinner downstairs in the Hard Rock, and we could hear the band absolutely perfectly.
Perfect.
But it was just like that is one band that I would just love to go and see again. And I think that's the one on the list that stands out for me.
Right. John Takada's there. And then I look further down the list. The Pointer Sisters. Again, I had to check they were still alive and well there. I like the fact it's Don Felder, formerly of the Eagles. In case you weren't sure. I'm intrigued to know what or who the Cat Empire are. They're not a band that I'm familiar with.
We the Kingdom.
Well, kind of Cat Empire, I kind of have a view. I'm wondering if it's like one of those memes where the cats meow the songs or something,
Or like when you're scrolling through on TikTok and there's like all these cat
Yeah,
videos.
that would be awesome. I think that'd be great.
I don't
But
do
when
like
I
cover songs.
yeah, Taylor Swift in meow. But this year, when I'm there, I shall have to suffice for seeing 98 Degrees and enjoying who the
Isn't
Disney
that the
owned.
What is?
Yeah, well, I think hopefully not. But get to see the Disney owned Nick Lachey.
Yeah.
I didn't even realise that he'd been in a band. I went and looked up 98 Degrees, and it was him and his brother and a couple of other guys. And I was just like, this is the guy that presents stuff on Netflix and all sorts of stuff, but also some Disney programs as well. So yeah, that's who's on when I'm there. So we just missed Plain White Teas, unfortunately, because that would have been cool.
Yeah.
Heather says, is there even a concert series without Sugar Ray? I think it might be his only gig of the year. It's like people in the UK when they do Panto, and they literally just do Panto once in the year. They do 6 weeks of Panto. That's it. That pays their bills for the whole rest of the year. I wonder if that's what happens with Sugar Ray, that he just does this one gig. That's it.
Yeah.
How many are here for like this festival, but then come back for food and wine?
I haven't seen many people double up, but I am sad that Starship are not there. I'm hoping that
Seemingly something did stop them now. Yeah.
John, it's like you've
he's
been
been working on that.
Been quiet the last few minutes, just working
No,
on that.
it just came to me. That was it.
Oh, that's amazing.
Which is even worse.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, news flash over. We've talked about the interesting bands that are coming for the Clarendon Garden Festival. Let's talk about breakfast. It is the most important meal of the day, allegedly, and some of it's one of those things that I think from my history and I remember when I go to Disney World as a kid was like my dad taking us for breakfast, and we go to like Ponderosa or Sizzler or Shoney's. Go right back, and it would be like $2.99.
Yeah,
eat as much as you can, like everything. And I remember
everything was all you can eat.
Everything was all you can eat, and it was. I remember looking at all of these people who were literally putting everything you can possibly think of all on one plate, and then covering all the maple syrup. Well, no, you can have as many plates as you wanted, but there would be bacon and eggs and toast and jelly and
fruit loops on top of that.
Everything on one plate, and then like maple syrup poured all over the top of it, and it's like, what are they doing? And like chocolate pudding and all sorts of stuff, and it was just this feast for the eyes and the senses, not necessarily for your stomach, but I think it was just one of those things, and it was a bit of a money saving tip, because if you go and you have a massive breakfast, you can economise at lunchtime. I now understand what my dad was doing.
1 meal a day.
Yeah, because it would be like $12 to feed the whole family for breakfast, and then you could just like give lunch a miss. Or there is something about if you have a really good breakfast, you can economise with a smaller lunch or even a snack sometimes. And there are some top money saving tips coming up on future shows.
We used to do that at Disney World a lot. So if we'd find ones like the buffet breakfasts, so it didn't matter what it was, is a buffet. Okay, I'll eat as much as I can, I'll eat as much as I feel like I need. And then it's like, I don't need to worry about having anything at lunch. Okay, something in the park will do. And then in the evening, we'll have another meal.
Yeah.
But being off-site, the food options are so many.
Mm-hmm.
And having a car now driving around makes it a lot easier, because we used to just always get an Uber or Lyft or walk to the nearest one that was.
There's actually people that still miss the old Ponderosa and Sizzler breakfast type scenario.
Isn't there one Ponderosa left on the 192? I think there's one.
I was looking at a discussion on Facebook this week, and they were talking about it, and some people are saying, "Oh, what a shame! I always remember going to Sizzler." And probably, if you remember going to Sizzler, usually it's for the wrong reasons. I would hasten to add. They shut down for a very good reason, but people still miss it. And actually, if you are watching this and you know somebody who's going this year, maybe, and you're looking for that bit of inspiration, this is going to be a show where you actually will get that little lowdown, maybe on some places that you've heard of, maybe some places that you haven't heard of, but certainly I still think there's a group of people who've been in the past who are going now, who are kind of still in that blinkered view of they want the breakfast buffet, but actually because it's not there, then they may be eating either in hotels or they may be going to the parks.
Mhm.
And they're not willing to just do that little bit of extra work to just go and find some of these places.
Yeah.
There's loads. And I think that's the best thing about doing this show. It gives you inspiration. We accept no responsibility or for any of the recommendations that come up, because actually I've been to some of the places and actually I haven't enjoyed it. But that's,
We'll be honest.
I'll flag that and we'll flag that when it happens. So
We're planning to eat a lot of breakfast off-site in August, so this is just to write our list.
You
It's
can put
just
this on
filling
your
our
spreadsheet.
spreadsheet.
Yeah.
I
mean-
you see, I get into that bracket, Ben. I know I've said this ever since we started doing the podcast. I really hate if I'm getting up early, I want to be in the park and I want to actually be enjoying time where everyone else is sitting eating the breakfast, because actually it's the best time to actually be in exploring the parks.
You just need to get up earlier, John.
You do.
Yeah,
It's
well,
Some of these
even
places
early.
are open up. Like I remember, this was on like the first day of our trip. We went in IHOP at 5 a.m. and we were the only ones there. It was great. We're at the park, Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
Oh.
But as well, they serve breakfast until late in a lot of these places. Some places serve breakfast 24 hours, which is absolutely. So if you are on a lazy one, that tends to be my favorite day to go off-site breakfasting. It's basically just if you're on a late park start or you're going shopping, go for a decent breakfast first, because it makes the shopping a little bit more bearable.
Yeah.
So what was at Sizzler? I've never heard of it before tonight.
You've not heard of Sizzler?
I'm sure
There's got to be a video on YouTube
sticky
somewhere.
carpet. So that's the one thing.
Someone like
carpet.
used to get like an electric umbrella.
Greasy
Worse.
food.
Yeah.
It was like Ponderosa, but a bit cheaper.
Yeah. Everyone was kind of deep fried for about 30 seconds and then chucked into serving, and it was
under heat lamps.
It was
the bacon was like the crispiest bacon. I think the bacon at Shoney, Sizzler, and Ponderosa, I've never seen anything of the like. It was, you know how American bacon, which is streaky bacon, goes crispy. This stuff really, and I know that, I think it was Heather who told us that bacon is a finger food.
Need to be fingers, which
right.
Yeah.
That's not a British thing. So by the time you had tried to put a fork into it to cut it, it had fragmented and splintered across the room. And it was something else that
it would take an eye out if you weren't careful. You know,
shrapnel
bacon.
Yeah, it was.
Either that or
so
maybe
crunchy.
It was maybe sponsored by American dentists in the Orlando area. So when you lose a filling when you're on holiday, it's like, I need to go and get another filling. Yeah.
Malibu chicken in the salad bar
Ooh.
at breakfast.
Yeah.
I remember it must have been one of our first trips in the 90s, and I remember my brother going and getting this food. We must have been in Sizzler, I think, and he came back with this bowl of like jelly and ice cream at breakfast.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what on earth are you doing? And my parents were like, yeah, it's fine. I'm just like, hang on a minute, this is not okay. It was like green jelly and like chocolate pudding and ice cream. No.
There's some things, and actually the way that it's coming back to me as well. The way it was presented,
or not,
but it was so accessible to little fingers.
Yeah,
when so you could see people, you could see younger children just taking. I'll have a couple. I can have some, and I'll have a, and then you're thinking, and I get really uptight when I see that happening. I'm thinking next thing I'm not gonna be very, very well for a few days. Let's go somewhere else.
Yeah.
I have an issue with. I'm sure there must be a Facebook group somewhere. You know, people who survived Sizzler.
Let's start one. If not, but I think one of the other things is there's such a varied price point as well. So just thinking about the off-site dining options that we've talked about, I think in the podcast, probably in terms of dinner and stuff. Breakfast is the same. There's a real variety of price points, so you can go from remarkably cheap to more expensive, but it is never going to match the price on site. So you are creating a bit of a bit of you're creating an economy in terms of your money and being able to use it more usefully. So actually, if you save some money on breakfast, you can use it for merch or for a drink later on or for a nicer dinner. So I think there is something to be said about looking and exploring the offsite options, even if you're not staying offsite. Do go and have a look, and hopefully in the course of the next 45 minutes or so we can give you some ideas of places that we like, places we might avoid. Sadly, Sizzler and Shoney's are no more. So and I haven't been to the Ponderosa on the 192.
No.
I don't think.
If anyone has, let us know what it's like. Who's going to take one for Ben? I volunteer you to take one for the team. I really think you could vlog it.
I was going to say, whoever's out there next.
Barry, do you know who's been?
Barry
has.
Yeah.
They went for dinner, and I've watched that vlog, and it didn't make me want to go.
I was going to say, Claire, you're next in April to go. So
yeah, but I'm very busy. Far too busy. So where should we start? Let's talk about somewhere that we like. I know that I've been. John, you've been. Ben, have you been to Kiki's?
Yes.
Okay.
So last trip.
So Kiki's is a place that's relatively new to us. Those that knew. So Robin and Simon have been talking about Kiki's for years.
Yeah.
And there was the nearest Kiki's to Walt Disney World was up in Winter Garden previously, but they have built one and opened one on the 192 just near Miller's Ale House, actually, just down towards the big Target area.
Near Orange Lake Resort.
That's right. So that opened last summer, maybe just before.
It was open. I think it was like October, November.
I think at the end of 2023, wasn't it? Because it was open, certainly open.
It was open last year when I went, and actually,
it was in 23.
So Kiki's is a really good quality breakfast, and actually it's not the cheapest place, but the I'm going to say this a lot, stop giggling, the portion sizes are huge. And I think that the variety that they offer at breakfast is really good. Their coffee's all right, it's not bad.
Don't have the tea.
Oh no, that is a general rule across the board.
I have to admit,
say.
I was
I don't drink tea in America.
We got to that point in the trip that we missed having tea. We'd been on the cruise for a week.
We then regretted that.
Then thought, we'll have a cup of tea. We'll just have something different. And it was the worst tea ever. I don't think anything could have saved it. They gave us more milk. They gave us another tea bag. I think we needed 6.
The water's not hot.
Which is why when you go to the States, you have to take some tea bags from the UK with you. So, and some people I know, not us, but some people will also take their own mini kettle because actually they fit. Just because they feel it doesn't boil up to, like you said, Claire, it doesn't boil up to the proper temperature that they like to enjoy the tea. So it seems a bit stupid taking an electrical item to there, but
you can buy a mini kettle or actually a full-size kettle in Walmart for about $12. Yeah. If you really need to, then
we've looked at it. We're thinking of doing an Amazon order in August, and we looked at a kettle. It's like $11.
Yeah, it's totally worth it. Just take tea bags with you, though. Anyway, we're getting off topic.
I want to show you what I ordered because, like you said, Claire, portions are huge.
Is that yours? I wonder. I saw that in the show photos, and I was thinking, who on earth would have ordered that? That's disgusting.
It was incredible. It was incredible.
That's a dessert. That's not breakfast.
Is it a waffle with that amount?
Banana and strawberries.
There was a waffle. There was blueberries. Which you can't see. There were strawberries and banana, all on.
And a whole can of whipped cream.
Pretty much. That was incredible. The waffle was it was incredible. I can't wait to go back and have it again.
How big was it in terms of the pancakes that you get in Kiki's are huge.
I couldn't eat anything else. That literally was all I could have.
I think the pancakes are a good 8 inches
I
across.
thought Becca was going to have the pancakes. Yeah,
the pancakes they're so thick. I mean, they're like 2 or 3 times the depth of a normal pancake. Because Millie, I remember Millie ordered the kids' pancakes, and it's 2. And I was like, sure, you're going to have enough. And then he's like, I'll get 2. And if I want any more, we'll order another one. It won't take long. And these things came, they were like bigger than her head. And I was like, you sure you've got enough? And she's like, yes. I think she managed one. And there was, I mean, the kids' portion was ever so cheap. It was like $8 for that. And she had like a gallon of chocolate milk that was refillable. And the cold drinks come in not very eco-friendly, but polystyrene cups, so you can take them away easily without problem.
Becca had the, I think, what was it? It was the stuffed French toast.
Oh, wow.
What's that? Is that chocolate on the top?
Yeah, that was chocolate and banana.
Bella Becca, healthy eating into the
This was week 2, so to be honest, we'd been on the cruise and had endless
oh my
food.
life. Wow.
So we had to keep the appetite up.
I think had to keep the sugar levels up, I think, as well.
Yeah, definitely.
We didn't come back with diabetes, so we're all good.
Oh, carry on like that. I mean, there are other. So my choice in Kiki's. These are both. Look at the difference. This was my Kiki's breakfast. So I had an omelette which had. I think it had.
Is that toast?
The back of the picture is brown toast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Breakfast potatoes at the front, and then it was an omelette which had mushrooms, red pepper, and onion in it. The offending article on that picture is the mustard stuff at the front, which was jettisoned very rapidly. Because those who know, I don't do mustard of any kind. But that was huge. I mean, it was really, really big. There's no way I could finish it. I think I managed about half of it, and then. The next time I went, I had. Oh no, that's not mine. Whose was that?
That's mine. Yeah.
So you had an omelette, and is that the hash, the breakfast hash?
Yeah, which actually was delicious. Which surprised me. But actually, that was. And again, their omelettes are basically.
They're really good.
They're made to order, and you can choose exactly what you want in them.
Mm-hmm.
It is. I don't know. For me, it was such an eye-opening experience because actually the quality of the food was second to none. And I think having had the recommendation from Robin and Simon, I was thinking it can't be quite as good as that. And actually it was. And I think
it lived up to expectation. I was really surprised.
And I think that's why we started with that as the first one in the list, because I think of anywhere, that's the one that you most want to go back to, and I think that really for me is quite striking, because there's a lot of breakfast places that I think, I can get that. It's just they're all roughly, they're all the same sort of stuff.
Our plan for August is like, okay, well, how many times are we going to Kiki's?
Yeah,
that's started off that, and I was surprised how good it was.
So
the various locations now that are in. So it depends on where we are, where we're going to be. So whether you want to go to Winter Garden, whether you want to go to just off the 192, it's quite accessible for most people. Yeah.
And I think the other thing to say is they open at like 7, I think, and they shut at 2. So they are only a breakfast brunch type place. They're not open later in the day. So their focus really is on that menu.
And they do get busy. I think that's the other thing as well. So if you go over a weekend, be prepared to wait.
9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning, you're going to wait.
You're definitely going to wait. And if you're as patient as I am, you turn the car around and you head right down the 192 and you go to IHOP instead. But
that's plenty of other options on there.
You do, but I think as well, I think it's not the type of place that you can just rock up, expect to get a table, expect to be served quickly. It's a bustling atmosphere.
Yeah. It is really, really good, and
it's well worth it. Put it on.
I'm trying to think how much the omelette plate was. I think it was like $12 or something. It's really not expensive.
Yeah,
and that's for the omelette, the breakfast potatoes, and the toast. And you get a choice of toast or muffin or a biscuit. So you can mix and match. There's lots of options. It comes with a signature slice of orange, which I've not quite understood, but it's always there, which is nice. But Kiki's is a good value, highly recommended, I think, actually. And Robin, thank you for introducing it to us.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm just looking at the price of the waffle that I had. It was called the Florida waffle, and it was $14.49.
Wow, but it was big.
And apparently only 620 calories.
Her
Only.
mouthful.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I must admit though, I did have an issue with the server in there, so I won't.
You
I
did?
won't
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah,
I remember that.
Because we
we
had
paid.
the like opposite experience.
Yeah, no, it was great during service. It's just
Yeah.
like when it came to paying.
Oh, disappear.
Well, no, it came about. I think for the four of us, I think it came to about $71 or $72
Mm-hmm.
or something like that. So, but I didn't have any change. For one of the rare times, I didn't have any dollar bills, and so you want to leave a decent tip. But I think we put $2.50s on the tray because I didn't have anything small, right?
Yeah.
So he didn't come back. He vanished. He disappeared. With
That's a healthy tip.
With a tip which is well over I worked out a nearly a 40% tip, which I felt was
nice try.
Was really. And so I said, look,
pushing the boundary a little.
Are we not getting any change here? I was like, oh, and I think he just presumed that he was getting the whole lot, which is I thought was presumptuous in the extreme. So he then went, and we were waiting for ages for him to come back because he was thinking, I'm going to have to go through. I'm going through my boss and things like that. So eventually it came back. It reduced the size of his tip considerably. I would hasten to add, but there you go. So yeah, these things happen. Yeah, but the quality of food was brilliant.
Heather's asking. She says she's never heard of Kiki's. Is it a big chain? I don't think it's a big chain, Kiki.
No, 10, but a lot of them are just all in Florida.
Yeah, and it's Kiki. The full name is Kiki's Breakfast Cafe.
Yeah.
But they're really good quality and they're very consistent as far as I can tell. I know Robin and Simon have been to a few, so good. It's a good find. It's a new one on the 192, so people who haven't been for a couple of years wouldn't know it was there. So don't miss it. Just pick your time. If you go early, it's fine. You don't have to wait too long. Let's go to an old favourite. You've mentioned it already, IHOP. I remember at one point we tried to count as many IHOPs as we could in
that's a fun game.
There's so many of these places.
Now
I am not a fan of IHOP. I'll be honest. I find it greasy, cold, and the food just the whole place makes me want to go and have a shower.
I've been there twice. I'm trying to think. We've been there a few times, but this was like back in 2013, 2014.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Since sort of 2015, we've never been. We've not been.
I just think there's better options.
Yeah, and because I found more other places, like at the time it was like we didn't have a car, so it was like wherever it was located to where the hotel was, and then we started staying on site at Disney. So it's like, well, there's no point spending $10 on an Uber if I'm going to spend that difference to go. I might as well go to a quick service at Disney.
And that again, I think this comes to a lot of chains as well. I think what you find is that some that have maybe been there for a number of years.
Mm-hmm.
I find the one on the 192 tends to be a little bit on that side, Claire, where
that's the one that I'm thinking of, the one near the bottom of Sherburth Road.
That for me I would never go there.
Okay.
I would go to the 27 in Davenport, where there's one which is probably, I think it's only been there about 8 years, but it's clean.
Okay.
It's kind of off the beaten track, so it doesn't get as much custom. You always get seated quickly. It's quite a modern place as well.
Okay.
So again, when you walk in, it is our go-to.
It hasn't got slidey tiles on the floor and a dodgy bathroom.
Not quite,
Okay,
but it does what it says on the tin, and you can be in and out, not pay very much.
Mm-hmm.
Kids get free soft drink refills.
They do
as many as you want, and actually, when you come to pay the bill, the server usually asks, "Do you want one to go? Do you want one to go as well?" Which I actually think is really good, because in the UK you'd never be even thought of that way, shape, or form.
No.
And actually, I think there's a picture. Let's see if I can find it. There's a picture in the in the folder as well, where you get.
It's huge, huge amount of food.
It is. It's absolutely perfect for feeding a family, but not overly so. If you know what I mean. I actually sometimes if you're going for breakfast, I hate having a massive massive breakfast in front of you because you just get overfaced by it.
Yeah.
You go there, it's value for money. You know what you're getting because actually it stipulates it. And the other exciting bit about IHOP is you can sit and people watch, and you can't understand at 10 o'clock in the morning why someone's ordered a massive, huge steak or a massive burger and things like
Because they
that.
can.
And you're going, how on earth are you eating that?
Right.
It's just like there's
They've probably
always
not been home.
It's the
there's
IHOP
always
experience.
There's always something to see, and it's actually
Yeah.
that's part of the enjoyment of being there. But yeah, it does what it says on the tin.
It does. It's good value, and you know, I have a vivid memory of my brother. I remember going to IHOP when we were first in Orlando, and my brother eating a full stack of banana nut pancakes for breakfast, which had a variety of syrups on the top, and then him the banana. Let's just put the banana nut pancakes reappeared later on that morning.
The reaction,
after what was affectionately then known as Big Chunder Mountain. So it was. It's a bit of a legend in our family.
I just remember all of the syrups that you.
There was like 4 or 5 different ones. Yeah.
And the thing is, you couldn't always tell what they were. So it was like, I'll try this one. What?
There was sugar.
Yep.
Yeah. I think there is something about you know, there is a difference. I prefer a savoury breakfast if I'm gonna. I'm not a breakfast person. I tend to be a coffee. That'll do me. And certainly when we're on holiday, it is probably the only time that I eat breakfast. And I would always, like you can see from the omelette, I would always go for a savoury option rather than a load of sugar, just because that would be my preference. But I think if you like pancakes, then you know IHOP fits the bill. There's so many different versions and options, and I don't eat pancakes at all. I don't like them. So
I think that there's a lot of places that we're going to talk about tonight that do those options.
They cater for everyone.
Because not everyone wants a sweet breakfast. You're on holiday, but actually I'll treat myself with a sweet breakfast this time. But sometimes you just want something savoury. Yeah. Just start with a protein-rich breakfast.
Yeah, definitely. So the next place I was going to bring up is a bit of a cult classic, and I love it. And I absolutely stand firm that this particular place has the best biscuits, and I mean the American biscuits, not our biscuits.
Custard creams.
Not custard cream or a chocolate hobnob. They'd have the very best biscuits of anywhere that I have been, and that is Cracker Barrel.
Yes.
So Cracker Barrel, I'm hoping most people have experienced Cracker Barrel. If you haven't, it's a old style. I'm trying to think what the tagline they use, but it's like old style home cooking. Cooking with an apostrophe after the N, I think is kind of the true Steve Wright kind of way. And they have such a good breakfast option, and they do everything. So you can buy individual items. So if you just want, I don't know, just some toast, you can have just toast. It's fine. But they have things like the old timers breakfast, which always makes me laugh. And
it feels like that's an age restricted breakfast.
There's like what I used to laugh about, the seniors breakfast. I'm sure it's like over 50s, and I'm just like, oh my god, that would be amazing. I'll be able to have that. So they have like grandma's oatmeal, and you know all of those things. They do the normal breakfast where there's bacon, there's sausage, there's breakfast hash, potatoes. They do a really good selection, and they do seasonal things as well. So when I've been there in like the end of August, beginning of September, they sort of transition to like a pumpkin spice muffin, or they do like a apple cinnamon oatmeal. If that
we were there in October, and it was literally cinnamon everything. And whatever left for pumpkins.
And in spring, summer, they do quite a lot of peach stuff. So I have a peach cobbler muffin and stuff. So they do some seasonal things, and it's a bit like when Sam Adams seasonal changes. You can guarantee that Cracker Barrel has changed their menu as well. So I really like Cracker Barrel, and that's before you start talking about the shop.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's yeah.
Yeah.
Has anyone bought anything from there?
I bought so much stuff from there. Like,
We should
can't
do a
even-
show on the stuff we bought from Cracker Barrel.
we should do a live show from Cracker Barrel because
Oh,
it's
There you
just
go.
it is one of
Yeah.
those places that this is like the over 55 breakfast menu sort of person. It's not that far away. That's the thing. I used to laugh at it, and now I'm just like, oh, that sounds good. Like Cracker Barrel shop, because they have like some quirky candy and stuff that you can buy, like the Smarties, American Smarties, not UK Smarties, and all sorts of like quirky old school candy. You can buy moon pies, and you can buy almond joys, and all sorts of stuff that I have. You have to kind of search for, otherwise it's all there in one place. And I've actually brought home a small skillet, like cast iron skillet, in my my suitcase before. Not the lightest thing to carry, but it's very useful.
I've just got pictures of you at the airport, just like, oh well, what's overweight today?
Yeah.
I'll be like Rapunzel and just carry it. We bought like mugs and like thermos cups, like travel cups, and
We bought a little sign for our dishwasher. It's like a magnet that you switch around each side so you know whether it's clean
Christmas
or dirty.
ornament. Always in August we buy a Christmas ornament from Cracker Barrel. They have some amazing Halloween stuff, like the stuff that you would never ever put in your house but you want to laugh at. They're great.
Okay.
It's so cool. And then on the tables in the restaurant, they have the little peg game, the little triangular peg game, which is a bit like solitaire. And you have to try and get it down to one peg left. And you can buy one of those in the shop as well. And I not only have one, I also have Christmas tree ornaments off that exact game. So
Oh wow.
they're really cool. The only thing I find about Cracker Barrel is it's a little bit slower than some of the other options. So if you're in a rush, it's not the place to go.
Yeah.
But
It's a very relaxed atmosphere.
Yeah, it is, and generally the servers are amazing. The coffee's all right; they keep it hot and topped up, and I like it. I like to go at least once on the trip, but it's got to be a morning where we're not in a rush to go anywhere else. I don't know if anyone in the chat's been to Cracker Barrel and whether it's somewhere that you go back to, but I like the biscuits and then the apple. Fried apples, and it's all good.
No, good stuff.
I don't do grits, so I know that people rave about grits.
Yeah.
The grits at Cracker Barrel apparently really good.
Okay.
I wouldn't know, not my thing. So, where else should we talk about? John, your favourite place, and it reminds me of the Santa Claus movie. Every time I go in there, and every time I watch that movie, I laugh about it. Denny's.
No. Avoid.
I just love that bit in the Santa Claus where he burns the turkey and they go out and it's him and the son and they're sitting there in the restaurant that nobody knows which one it is, but everybody knows it's a Denny's just by the shape of the mugs and the decor. It's such a classic moment. But eggs over my hammy are legendary in terms of the Denny's menu.
And was it the value
sandwich,
menu, the
$2 for $4, 2 4 6 8 menu, and the is it the slamwich or something? I can't remember it. The breakfast sandwich.
Yeah.
The menu hasn't changed for years. It's reliable. You don't touch the menu too closely because it's always a bit sticky. But it works. You do get massive groups of people going in there, especially at the weekends.
Yeah,
I've been in there and there's like huge family and friends groups, like I guess like 15 20 people trying to cram around some tables, and the food does take a little bit of time sometimes. But John, you've not had a great experience, have you?
No, it's the type of place that always sort of comes and there's always something wrong, and I think that's the bit that when your day
experience.
But when your day gets off to that kind of start.
You want breakfast, you want a simple, easy way in.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, and again, it probably is. It's probably server related, I think, from on then else, like
Denny's has a great over 55 breakfast, man.
I don't think any of us are. I mean, I don't know if they check your ID to make sure it's okay for you to order it, but
I can take my passport now, can't I?
None of us are old enough to go there to that point
Exactly.
yet.
Yeah, that's
Not quite yet.
Let's
Have to
stick
find
on
somebody
that
who
one.
is. Yeah. They can come
Yeah.
with us.
But
But
yeah,
there's
again,
delis everywhere.
it's
I mean,
another
there's-
one. It does what it says on the tin, and actually,
Yeah.
that's why it's very popular with a lot of Americans, because actually they'll go. They know they won't get
consistent.
kicked out. They know that you'll get refilled with your coffee or soft drink. Yeah.
And because there's that everywhere, it's so
Yeah.
much easier. It doesn't matter where you are. You're always going to find there's one sort of 10-minute drive from where you are.
10 minutes, like 3 minutes. There's so many. And it's a national chain, isn't it? So you can go to Denny's in Ohio and Denny's in Orlando. It should be the same thing, really.
Yeah.
I guess it's something about familiarity, and if you're from the UK and you've never been to like a US breakfast diner, I know it's not like the classic diner experience, but the food is, I guess. And so Denny's is a good starting point. If you don't want to spend a lot of money, there's enough food to split between people if you want to share a breakfast, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's functional. It's relatively quick. There's usually parking. Just keep an eye on your car. So you can see it, people.
Yeah.
That's how I always feel a little bit.
It's true.
I love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think as well, Claire. This is the other bit. This is the little bit that came from the Wafflers chat as well. There's a growing number, and I think this comes off the back of Kiki's success as well. But there's a growing number of independent places.
Yeah.
Where if you know, or if and again, it's one of them things that I know when you're coming from the UK, you tend to be a little bit fearful of, I can't possibly go and try an independent place because actually I'm not quite sure what I'll get. I know Neil had mentioned a few places. Was it Susanna's Cafe in downtown Kissimmee?
Yeah.
Homely independent spot away from the masses. That was one.
Yeah.
And also he said the actual reviews on Google were superb. And then also in Celebration, there's the downtown diner as well. Yeah. And again, people don't think that much about that, but there are places and gamble. Just take the risk and actually do something different away from these big. Yeah, but away from the big chains. And I think this is what we're starting to find, that there's actually better options, a higher level of food option where you actually have the ability to go and be very, very well treated. An awful lot cheaper than you would if you were doing, for example, like a character breakfast on site. And that's where these whole savings that you actually are able to actually cut back is breakfast. So let's just know.
It's toast and it's eggs and it's waffles with cream.
It all depends on what you want for breakfast. It really does. There are so many options, and I think we've been to McDonald's for breakfast before because it just fit the purpose for what we wanted. We were going to the outlet that day. It was like we were staying at All Star, but we didn't want to. There was a huge queue at the food court, so there's a McDonald's right by all of the All Star restaurants. So we popped in there and then drove to the outlets afterwards.
And I think that actually McDonald's breakfast in America is infinitely better. I still miss the old big breakfast where it came in like the polystyrene packet with a couple of pancakes and a piece of sausage and a little pot of maple syrup. It's cheap, it's cheerful, it's functional, but you know what you're going to get, and it's reliable. It's always going to come out the same. So if you know you like it, then it's easy to tap into it. It's going to be quick. So if you don't want to spend a lot of time and you just want to fill up, perfect.
Yeah.
Go on.
I'll let you.
No.
All I was going to say on the back of that is actually when it's cheap and it's cheerful. When I mentioned to our Josh that we would do what the show was tonight, and he says, "Oh, don't forget to mention the fact that we've been brought up eating Publix donuts in the car on the way in." And actually,
Publix
donuts. Strange that, but actually they are absolutely superb. And it's that whole thing of when you're on holiday, you kind of do things slightly different.
Yeah. Rules.
Yeah, even Dunkin' Donuts.
Right, Dunkin' is.
I've never been to Dunkin'. There's a
Yeah.
lot of places on this list that I think we need to go to. You
I
know,
can't believe you've never been to Dunkin'.
no.
I mean,
No.
I think my view is Dunkin' Donuts, and I don't particularly like donuts, but Dunkin' are better than Krispy Kreme.
Okay.
hands down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you go in the morning, they're freshly baked. They're they're good. I want to pick up somewhere that was new to me last year that have looked at previously. There is one up by Universal, so towards the top of International Drive near the outlet, and then not that long ago, probably 18 months ago, they opened one near Flamingo Crossing, which is obviously where Morgan and Josh were living during their program, college program last year. And we went back in the summer, and I highly rate it. And that is Hash House a Go-Go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, if you've got a car and you just drive up towards Flamingo, which is if you're at Coronado Springs, you just hang a right and drive up there. It's like 5 minutes up there to get to Flamingo. And that area, I think, is now becoming quite popular. It's quite popular in terms of there are a few shops, but there's also some really good quality, inexpensive hotels up there as well. So people are staying in the Marriott Suites and various things up there. So it's a really good location. But Hash House a Go-Go, Morgan and I took a punt on it when we were scoping out where Flamingo was, and we went, shall we go and see what it's like? And honestly, I was so surprised. It was really good. So you go in and it's quirky. There's a big tractor inside when you walk in, which is interesting. And it's meant to like kind of country style, but not like country style, old school, like Cracker Barrel. And that's so the meal on the left of that picture was mine. I had an omelette, or did I have? I think I had scrambled eggs, and that's like the vegetarian breakfast hash. So that had artichoke, peppers, mushrooms, and spinach with breakfast potatoes. And then there was a biscuit which came with butter and strawberry jam, weirdly. And then Morgan's was on the right. He had the mixed meat scramble that he had with potatoes and a biscuit. And it came with some fruit. It was really good value. So they were about $16, $17 each. And the food was enough for at least 2 meals.
Yeah.
And I know that Morgan and Josh went.
It was one of their go-to places as well as a treat. And
I'm looking forward to
adding
that to my list.
I actually think that's another place that if you're looking for new places to go and visit, that's one that really does stand out as something really different and really sort of will give you a completely different experience.
A giggle for everyone this evening.
Have you got a guest with you at the minute, Claire?
I've got a guest with me who's just found herself. I've got a Mabel with me who's just broken her way in.
Oh dear me!
I'm just going to get rid of her. Bear with me.
Yes, no problem.
Oh, that's fun. Oh, there you go.
Brilliant.
That was a first. There's usually a Robert and Simon's cats.
Cat.
So there you go.
I'm worried now we need to get a fish or another pet or something, and I don't know.
You're all right, man. We'll
No.
survive without them.
So
I think as well. What are the places that because I know that for you guys, it's a completely new feeling to actually have that freedom to go and explore.
It really is, and we tried. I think we went to Panera Bread.
Oh, got you.
And the only reason we went there was because there was a Tesla supercharger right next door. So the first time it was like, okay, where is it in celebration? And it was great. Just a breakfast sandwich, really cheap. It was like $5 or $6. So
I have always looked at Panera Bread and always gone, do you know what? I'm going to go there and I'm going to pick up some breakfast things for the next. I'm going to go there before lunchtime, grab some stuff for the next morning. Yeah. And I've never, ever, ever managed to do it. And I always look at it online because the menu that they have is like there's so many options, and they do great bread and rolls and
it felt like it was. We walked in and there was these 2 screens as soon as you walk in, so you can just order on those, or you don't have to go to sort of register. And the thing is, it's like Subway, so you can have everything
however you want.
It just felt a little bit like that, and it was just like too much choice in a way. But it was like the car just needed to be charged for 15 minutes, so it's like let's grab breakfast while we're here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I
So-
just keep meaning to go, and every time I'm like, oh, I'll go next time. I'll go next time. I'll go next time. But
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
and it is inexpensive, and as far as I know, it's good quality. And I think
Yeah.
one day I'll get there.
I went last year for the very first
Mm.
time, but it was mid afternoon, so I was basically going for soup,
Yeah.
which was nice.
Yeah.
But it was very telling that we went way on in the day for their overall selection, and because it was
Yeah.
quite quiet, and
Okay.
I'm not quite sure if I'd ever go back. I'll put it that
Okay.
way.
No.
It was
Okay.
one of them.
And
The other-
at the same complex we were at, they also had, was it Maple Biscuit Street Company? I
Yeah.
think it was called. We went there really early in the morning because it said on like Google that it was going to open at 7 a.m. So we were there at 6:50 because we wanted to get to Epcot straight after breakfast to get our
knocking on the door.
to get-
Come
yeah,
on.
to get up. And the thing is, we were there waiting in a queue to get
Wow.
in, and they hadn't opened
Really?
until 7:10. And I have to admit, we're looking forward to trying it again because I've had some really
Wow.
good reviews. We were there.
I've heard
And
amazing
I-
reviews about
I
it.
didn't have the best experience because what I ordered, I got a completely different thing off the menu that took them a
Okay.
lot longer to cook, and there was a few issues around that.
Mhm.
But the food itself was incredible. So
Yeah.
I think it
Yeah.
was just bad luck. But I'm looking forward to trying it again.
The other place that I've heard amazing reviews of, and I know that cast members frequent, is Stuff a Bagel, which is on the
Yes.
back road out at the back of Magic Kingdom. If you drive around the back of Magic Kingdom, so you go past Grand Floridian, follow that road round to where they're going to build villain stuff. There is Stuff a Bagel back there, and that is really, really well recommended. And I know friends of the show, Jason Knapp and Zach Brown and Carlos Ponto Carlos.
Was it called
Stuff a Bagel. And you can see
that
it
is on our list because we're staying in the Polynesian.
It's
it's
the cast members' place to go for their breakfast. They go and you can have a bagel with absolutely anything you can think of in it, and they wrap it up, and they do good coffee as well, I think, and it's not expensive. So that is somewhere that's on my list to visit as well.
Yep.
What about, this is not somewhere I've been. You know what I'm going to say? Golden Corral. Have you been?
Never been.
John, have you been?
No, and I worked with somebody who goes every few years, and he raves about it.
So it's like Marmite. People love it or hate it.
Yeah.
I've not been.
Yeah.
In the chat, have you been to Golden Corral?
I've seen the adverts on TV, but that's as far as I've got.
Yeah.
That's.
I
don't know what it is that's putting me off.
I don't
adding
either.
to my list. I think there are just other places that like Kiki's that just go like,
So I guess the nearest one is at the bottom of International Drive, next to the Better Bahama Breeze, and near BJ's, which is on the other side of the road there. John, stop it. But Golden Corral is not somewhere that we've been. I know my cousin's been there a few times, and her and her family, they rate it. They like it. It's cheap. It's cheerful. It is.
It's a 4 out of 5 on TripAdvisor.
Really?
Wow.
I
guess
if
we're
you're
missing
for,
something. I actually.
That's what I worry, that I'm missing
this is
something. Then I look at it and I'm like, I can't be missing anything that I want.
Yeah. No, and I'm totally with you on that. That's the bit that I don't get.
Maybe we should all go together.
I think that might be the option, because actually,
well, we need to do a Wednesday show.
We do a Wednesday, but I'm not doing an evening. I'm not going for dinner.
No,
not that.
Not
a chance.
No, we might do it like we did the cornhole. We'll video
record it. Let's do a breakfast.
Yeah.
Maybe we should all go to and supper it together and then see how we feel.
Yeah.
See who's well the next day.
Yeah.
But the thing is, then I'll be able to go back to this guy and I'll actually say, because him and his family, absolutely, that's one of the highlights of the trips to go to.
Really?
Yeah. I'm like,
has he stepped into Magic Kingdom?
Does he go to cafe? Does he go to Chef Mickey's as well?
Very probably. That's it. But yeah, it's really weird. It's just like and I've always like, oh no, never been there, not done that.
What about sorry, John, go on.
No, it's all right.
I was going to say, what about Perkins? Have you guys been to Perkins?
Yes. The one that is no longer there, I think, because you know where they were.
There was one near to Bob Evans. Is that one gone?
No,
On the
that one's still
192?
there, but
Okay.
the one that was by, was it Crossroads?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No,
Oh,
that
yeah.
one was
Yeah.
rubbish. That was awful.
Yeah.
But the
we
one
went
down
to-
on the 192 is actually okay.
Yeah, we went to that Perkins once, and have to admit, it was quite good. It was on a Sunday morning. It was really quiet, which surprised us, but the food was great.
I
Couldn't
think
complain.
it's a similar price point to Denny's, maybe like $1
I
or
think
so more
it was
expensive.
yeah.
But
I felt
really much better quality wise.
Yeah.
yeah, the place was a lot cleaner than Denny's.
Mm-hmm.
The food quality was better.
I've been to a nice Perkins in Naples. That was really nice, actually. And you always know where they are because they've got a massive American flag outside, so you can see them from miles away. And I do quite like Perkins, and they sell amazing cakes and puddings in their chiller cabinet. If you're looking for a cookie to take with you, they do some good stuff. But they also sell blue fizzy drink at breakfast, which I remember Millie wanting always. I don't know what was in it, and I don't want to know, but it's sugar and more sugar.
It perked her up for the whole.
It did, yeah. She was energy for the rest of the week. But they do like chocolate chip pancakes for the kids, and it's really, really reasonable. And I think Perkins they do great omelets. They do a Western omelette, which I really like. I just think it's another option, and there aren't that many around, but it's worth maybe a visit. Don't know. What about thinking of the boys and their trip? Waffle House. I've never been to Waffle House.
I've never been, but
I've driven past a million of them, and I've sung, the Jonas Brothers song at the top of my voice as driving past. I've never been.
Our cultural attaché for the USA, Zach Brown, took it upon himself to take Josh and Maud there.
That was part of their cultural
as part of their
experience.
cultural. That
was so funny. What did you do for your cultural experience this month? We went to Waffle House.
Yeah.
Okay. How was it? Well, I'm still tasting it 3 weeks later.
I think the message from Zach after he said, "Oh, we've been at Waffle House," and so I said, "Oh, thanks, Zach. It's great. We never got shot."
That was the result.
Is that the level?
Maybe not. I don't need to know that.
They really enjoyed it actually. Morgan said it was so cheap. I mean, it was like $10, and they had more. The picture. I wish I'd put the picture of the table. The three of them were sat at this table, and there was so much food. There was like 15 plates of food, and it was like $10 each. And they absolutely just ate out of their skin. And I think it was probably one of the first places they'd been to eat Offsite. And I think Zach paid for dinner that night, and it was like a late night thing. They'd been working, and he said, "Okay, if we're going to go to Waffle House, we'll do it properly. We're going to go late night." And they had waffles and bacon and sausage and eggs and potato and you name it, they had it. And this food just stays with you, I understand, for many hours. And that was the report I got back. But they really, it was a really interesting thing for them to go and experience that. And again, it's another thing. It says what it is, it does what it says on the tin. It's cheap, it delivers, it feeds your family. So when you start comparing that to the cost of an on-site breakfast, even the value ones, even if you're going for a quick service breakfast in a hotel that's not not a deluxe hotel, you're looking at $15 to $18. By the time you shared an Uber off-site, is that going to be cheaper? It might well be. And you're going to get a lot more food.
If you're staying at a value resort, you're probably looking about $11 to $12 for an entree.
Right.
And then it's like if you look at moderate or deluxe, you're looking at about $15 to $18. And then it's just like by the time you've then added on a drink, because obviously that's not included, and that's
unless you've got your mug, your refillable mug.
But
true. Even then, if you want
that's $23 each. You say now it's one of those. A place we did try last time was First Watch.
Oh, where was that? Down at Champions Gate? Did you go to the one right down?
There's the one Palm Parkway.
Okay, because I know there's one down at Champions Gate, because I know lots of people who stay that way will go to First Watch. I've been to a First Watch again in Naples. I've not been to one in Orlando. How was it?
Really good. Couldn't complain. Service was a bit hit and miss, a little bit like I think the food was great, but it comes to the wrapping up of the meal that our
Yeah.
server wasn't particularly happy with his managing.
Oh,
Because it was a bit of a process of like, I've got to tell you that here is your bill, and it's all finished.
Yeah.
If you want to order more, come and let me know. But I've got to, you've got your food now, so I've got to give you the bill. Well,
at least they gave you the bill.
Yeah, he said that he didn't want to. He sort of like, in case he wanted to order more, that side of it, and then close it at the
That's
end.
just how they work.
It was just, I think he wasn't particularly happy with it, but he just paid on the way out anyway. So I couldn't really complain. But
Again,
the
it's a place that
food was good.
It's only open till 2. It's a morning only restaurant, which is, I quite like that in terms
I
of.
had eggs Benedict.
I know it's all right.
Yeah. And Becca had the sweet breakfast. I had pancakes.
Is that mustard on the top?
No,
No, it wasn't mustard.
It looks like Holman's mustard.
it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Is that a cup of tea or coffee?
That was coffee.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was like kind of tea that I would drink. So obviously
wasn't tea.
I mean, a first watch again, it's a good value, and I think there aren't that many around.
There's about 2 or 3 locations, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But
worth a trip, definitely.
Yeah, we went there. I think we're heading to Universal that day. I think,
Okay.
or one of the outlets. So I think it might be the one up towards International Drive. So it was like we just went from there and just go straight up that way, avoiding a lot of the I-4.
Yeah.
I mean, I think those are probably some of our favourites. Have I missed anywhere particularly that you wanted to talk about that I haven't put on my list?
No.
I think we've
I think so.
Covered the main offenders, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
Starbucks on every corner.
Right. So again, if you're like me and you just like a coffee, then I tend to pick up a Starbucks in the park, but that takes like 3 hours. So if you want to do it on the way in, then it's sometimes.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But there's loads of other locations. Those are probably our favourites, maybe not all favourites, but certainly the price point, I would say, in every single one of those is exceptionally good in value in comparison to most of the on-site dining, as we just talked about.
I'd agree with.
And that's before you even think about character dining and the associated costs. I think character dining is now something like $59 for an adult.
Yeah.
It's not cheap.
It's
a little bit cheap if you're doing a resort, but then it's still like only $5 less, $5 or $10 less per person. So for family of 4, you're looking at $200 before you walk
for
from the
breakfast,
park.
Before you stepped in a park in the morning.
Just not.
You
and some of them aren't.
$200.
And some of them aren't buffet, so it's like family style. Once you put your plate, that's it.
Right, so Topolino's is an amazing experience. We all love it. It's fun. The character interaction's amazing. You know, you get to dance and sing and all that stuff.
It's not on every trip. Place
$250 later, you're like, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
What did I just pay for? And you're still turned over in 45 minutes. You know, you're not there very long.
No.
And the more, I guess, the older I get and the grumpier I get, the less I want to pay for character breakfasts. Because
I'm teaching you things.
You want to be in the park. You want to be on the right.
It's coming for me. I can feel it. And it's not particularly that I'm like John and I want to be in the parks and doing stuff. It's just
you can't afford to pay that. It's just not.
That cost is so prohibitive.
If you've got a 2-week trip, how many character breakfasts do you want to do? We were lucky in 2023 that we did, I think, 3 or 4 character breakfasts but it was for our sort of 10th wedding anniversary. So it was a trip that we wanted to spend, and we wanted to do a little bit more for character meals because we'd never done them before.
Okay.
It was a good experience, but there's not many of them that I'd rush back to, because when I look at going for a breakfast, I'm not really going to want to spend that amount every morning.
Yeah.
So I guess if you've got dining plan, you know, the free dining plan, you can have a character breakfast on the free dining plan, and that's a good use of your table service credit. However, if you're paying for it, it just like maybe I was trying to think what we did last August, and I think we maybe did 2. We definitely did Tusker House. We did Topolino's. And I think we might have done a third one. I'm trying. Did we go to Cape May Cafe? Like the ones in the resorts are a little bit cheaper, and I'm a big fan of Cape May Cafe. I think it's awesome. But I just now have a real problem paying that amount of money for breakfast, because actually you're not going to eat that much.
No.
To make it worthwhile, and actually, I think I would probably just rather go to Kiki's or Hash Has a Go Go, or even, you know, let's get Golden Corral go and see how it is.
Yeah.
I think some of the food options can be better quality off-site than on-site. I
It's
can't
the same
remember.
with all meals.
As soon as I had that waffle,
Yeah.
I was amazed. We've been on a cruise for the whole week before, had some incredible food while we were on there, but actually, I preferred that waffle to a lot of stuff we had on the cruise.
Yeah.
Right, the Mickey waffle that's there and it's been there for a little while.
Yeah. But it's funny because as you've been talking, I've actually got, when you're surprised at the price of something and you take a picture of the actual bill as it arrives, and I think between Kiki's and even IHOP as well, this is probably on a par for a family of 4, all having a breakfast, all having drinks.
Yeah.
The actual total on the bill that I'm looking at from IHOP was $72.
Okay.
For 4 people. And whereas you look at what you would
You'd be at
paying,
$250 easily for
and that's
charity breakfast.
free refills on coffee and soft drinks as well. I think that for me is the game changer. And again, if someone's watching or listening to this and you're thinking, I don't know if I want to try being off-site and things like that. As we said before, when we're talking about even the evening meals, the value is absolutely superb. Be brave and go and just explore, because you will save so much, and it gives you so much in your own pocket to go and enjoy your holiday.
If you're staying on site and you haven't got a car, $10 Uber each way.
Yeah.
So that's going to cost you $20, but not.
That's going to save you $200.
Yeah.
That's not even girl maths. That's basic math. And I think that, I'd be interested to know in the chat and in the people who are listening to the replay whether, obviously, we've talked about offsite dining at other times of the day, what I would call supper, what our friends in the north call tea. Would you like us to do a show about offsite dining at other times in the day again?
Oh, cool, yeah.
Because let us know if that's something you'd like us to cover, because it is somewhere that, I think that we are big advocates of going to other places that aren't Disney Springs resorts or parks. And it's nice to have different options. There's a whole load of places on International Drive when you get up towards, what's the park area with the big wheel and the
Icon Park.
Yeah, there's a whole load of places up there and loads and loads of chains that do great food. I'll try and remember which one it is where they have the iPads that you order at the table. There's loads of great options and huge amounts of variety. So really happy to do a show about that if that would be of interest.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. And I just love that it's saving money, because we always look for booking that next trip, and sometimes it's like, how much are you going to save? Because you can't control the price of the flights.
No.
Yeah.
You try your best to get the best deal, but actually food can be quite a costly thing while you're out there.
You can, and it's not something you can necessarily account for in advance unless you've got a dining plan and you've already covered most of your food. Then, but I was going to say that over the next few weeks we have got some really great shows coming up, and some of those include top tips for saving money and even free souvenirs. Who
Did you say free?
I said free. Who doesn't like saving money and free stuff at Disney?
Oh yes.
Yes.
So I think
Disney don't like it. That's the whole thing.
I'm just trying to work out whether the algorithm can pick it up. Free stuff at Disney. And I know
it's like there's an error somewhere. Those free and Disney don't belong in the same sentence.
And I know someone wrote a whole book about it. Lou Mangello, I'm looking at you. 102 ways to save money at Walt Disney World. But there is a whole load of ways of saving money, and certainly I think some of the free souvenirs that we don't think of as maybe souvenirs, but can be souvenirs if you use them in that way. There's a whole load of options. So we've got some really cool shows coming up in the future in the next few weeks. So do join us for those. We'd love you to even just subscribe, and then you'll be able to find us automatically. The podcast will download in your podcast provider of choice. Yeah. You'll find us on YouTube, ring the bell, tell your friends, all of that stuff. It helps the algorithm, it helps us.
Talking of YouTube, if you are watching on YouTube, don't forget, if you've got your phone ready and you're watching on TV, scan our QR code and it'll take you to our website so you can then see all the stuff that we do.
Where did that come from? When's that been a thing?
You missed it last week, Claire.
Oh, that was it. You were here last week. I was.
Okay. I was watching.
I got my phone out last week. So
I must have missed that completely. I'm like, what is where's that come from? This is
Yeah.
like, I have a week away and look what happens. Ben
Chaos.
does stuff without me knowing.
I know.
Yeah. Keeping you
but-
on your toes.
Right, but we, catch us on our social media at GB Mickey Waffle, everywhere that you can think of, and then obviously on YouTube. And as Ben said, we've got another show out on Saturday where we talk about car hire and is it worth it? Is it not worth it?
Yeah.
Where do you get it? And what's the benefit? And actually, if you've got a car, you can easily go to all these amazing breakfast places.
Yes.
So we will call it a day there. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. If you're watching us live, thank you for tuning in. If you're listening on the replay, we look forward to seeing you next week. I can't remember what we're talking about next week.
We have a special guest joining us, if I remember correctly.
I can't remember what we're doing. Oh my goodness, next week's going to be so much fun. Grab a drink next week, people, because
Yes.
we might be talking about some beverages, and we've got an expert joining us for a change.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Far more expert than me. But it's going to be great fun. So thank you for joining us today, and we will see you soon.
We'll see you real soon.
Now my wheels in motion and my window